Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and today I am ranking all of the palettes I tried in the month of March from my least favorite to my favorite. This is a great way for me to rank old things in my collection with new things I've just brought in and to see kind of how they stack up. Is the newer stuff better than the older stuff, or does old stuff stand the test of time? We're gonna find out. I used 16 palettes in the month of March. That's the most I've used in a month as far as the 3 months I've done this so far this year. I'll leave my playlist linked if you're interested in seeing it of my monthly ranking series. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Before we get too far into the video, if you haven't already, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. I upload 2 times a week, usually on Wednesdays and Sundays. It's totally free to subscribe and I would love to have you back on the channel. If you are already subscribed, go ahead and click that notification bell so that you know every time that I upload a new video. Alright, so like I said before, we're going to start at the bottom, the lowest ranked, and work my way up to my favorite this month. So number 16, the lowest ranked, is one that was ranked a little bit higher last month in February, and it is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill palette. I did use this more again this month, trying to get more use out of it. I did mostly like neutral looks. I played a little bit with the color last month in February, but I stuck to mostly neutral things. And I still do want to get more use out of this palette. I have it, so I need to use it, but it definitely didn't stand the test of time quality-wise to some of the other things I used this month. So I wouldn't say at all that it's like a bad palette or that I don't want it anymore. It just didn't intrigue me as much as some of the other stuff I played with this month. And number 15 is the other Morphe palette I used this month. This is the 39S Such a Gem palette. I had originally had this pulled from my Valentine's Day palette suggestions. I'll leave that video linked. I know Valentine's Day is over, but maybe you're into something purple, pink, red, and you want some inspiration or suggestions there. This palette is huge. So I had this out from that video and just did kind of like a purpley, pinky look. And yeah, it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't bad. But again, I just felt like it was in the okay range compared to some of the newer things that I played with this month. And yeah, I mean, Morphe, I feel like you get what you pay for price point wise as far as like price per shadow. It's not a bad palette again, but just lower quality than everything else I tried this month. Number 14 was the Nomad Cosmetics Monteverde palette. I used this in conjunction with another one in my St. Patrick's Day look. Again, I'll leave that linked even though the holiday is over. Maybe you want a kind of like grungy-ish green color story inspiration. And here's what the palette looks like if you haven't seen it. It's very colorful. And to be fair, I didn't dip into this a lot last month, but brights just don't attract me that much. And you might say, why did you buy this? But let me specify, it doesn't attract me like this time of year. Come summertime, I will probably use a lot of these brights. So I'm probably gonna put this away for April and maybe even May and revisit this in like June because of those brights. I had it pulled out for some of the like deepening green shades and like some of the true greens for St. Patrick's Day, and it was a palette I hadn't used yet. So definitely need to use it more. But I just wasn't drawn to it, you know, this time of year as much, so that's why it was ranked a little bit lower. Sometimes these rankings truly are just personal taste and opinion at the time of the filming. That's all there is to it. And number 13 from Melt Cosmetics, the Rust palette. This is one I got in a mystery box. I think it was my most recent mystery box. I'll leave that video linked as well. Here's what it looks like. And it's okay. Like, I did some nice neutral looks. The yellow's really nice. It just is, I mean, it's just okay. Again, a lot of these palettes lower, it was like there's nothing wrong with them per se. They're just fine. And the top of the ranking were some truly extraordinary palettes. So even a good palette wasn't ranked as high this month, and it's neutral. So like that's fine for a daily basis thing, or like even today's look is kind of neutral. I know the camera doesn't pick up too much the multi-chrome, but it's got a little pop with this multi-chrome here, and my highlighter is a multi-chrome shadow as well. Melt doesn't have multi-chromes. I wish they did, imagine, right? But That's why it's ranked where it is. Number 12 is the Pure X Barbie palette. What a throwback, you guys. This one, I still love this packaging. You can't get this anymore, it was limited edition, but this is some of my favorite packaging of all time. I've seen people do the videos that are like all the palettes I bought based on the packaging. Would you guys be interested in seeing a video like that? Let me know in the comments, but if I did, this palette would definitely be in it because look at that. And it is like textured, it's not all like, I don't know if you can see, it's like raised up. You can actually feel all of those stones. It's so cool. And on the inside, these shadows are really nice quality. I used it to do a neutral look, go figure, but, oops, sorry, get this plastic out of the way. It does have one pressed glitter, which I'm not in love with. I don't know if I knew that when I bought it. It is the shade down here, so I don't use that because it's not eye safe. But the shimmers are relatively, like, nice. They're better with a glitter primer. But the matte's really nice and it smells like vacation. So yeah, I do really like this one. It's not ranked any higher just because it's pretty neutral. Like it has pops of pink and pop of blue, but it's overall neutral and there's other stuff I like better formula wise in this list. And number 11 from Jaclyn Cosmetics is the Luxe Legacy palette. This was the first eyeshadow that I have ever tried from Jaclyn Cosmetics. And here's the inside of the palette if you haven't seen it. It is also very neutral. My one gripe with this was that the mattes were barely pigmented. Like I had to build and build and build to feel like I got any color whatsoever. Now granted, I haven't used a lot of shades. You can probably see like the ones that I've used down here, a couple that I dipped into. And the shimmer I felt was just okay, but I also didn't use a glitter primer, so it might be better with a glitter primer. I would obviously like to use it again. I kind of want to do like a green or like this gray cool tone and see, but just on first impressions, I wasn't super impressed. It was just kind of like, this is just fine. That's why it is where it is, but it has like, I don't know, I'm still intrigued, like I want to like it, and so in my mind that made it higher, I guess. I don't know. I think this one's number 10. Forgive me if I get my numbers wrong here. This is the Glaminatrix Nearly Natural. I would say out of all of the palettes I've tried from them so far, this is my number 2. My number 1 would be the You Beauty palette. I just posted my most recent video right before this one, a look with that. I'll leave that linked as well, and if I run out of links in the cards, I'll put stuff like links to videos that I'm mentioning in the description, so check it out there. Quality wise, this one's number 2. Again, color story, pretty neutral. That's literally in the name, right? Nearly natural, neutral, that sort of thing. But the quality's really good. The shimmers are spectacular in this. They're not like shifty or anything. They're just ultra reflective and shimmery without being pressed glitters, which we love. So this one is, I believe, still available, and it's really great if you're looking for a neutral palette with little twists. You know, you probably saw there's a little green in there. Really nice palette. In number 9, the Sugar Dreams palette. I also used this one in conjunction with the Monteverde for the St. Patrick's Day look, and I used So Tasty, this green in the middle, which was really nice. These are supposed to be duochromes. My gripe with this was when I put on that green, I was like, duochrome where? Like, it just looks green. It's a very reflective shimmer, but I didn't see a duochrome at all. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? It's a green to a lime or something? Like, green is green. You know what I mean? Like, I saw no flip to it whatsoever in the color. So that was a little bit of my gripe with this. I haven't used every shade in this, but so far I would say out of everything I've bought from Sugar Drizzle, this is my least favorite thing. But again, it's not bad. You know, you see how high it is ranked. The shimmers in this are much better, or to my liking more, maybe I should say, than the shimmers in some of the other palettes, because they are that more like putty-like texture shimmer that I really do enjoy. Okay, I think this is number 9. This is the Michaela Pot 2 Glam Light collab. This is the 10 color palette, so not the full-blown big palette. They did this like felt covered palette, which feels really cool, really nice. They didn't do one this size the first collection, and it is pretty green based. I forget what I pulled this out for. I think just, you know, to have fun and use it because it was the first time I had used it. And I did like a green and brown look, and it was really pretty. And this butterfly duochrome is really nice. It is the Glam Light Wonderful formula. And yeah, I don't have really anything bad to say about it. I think I used this gold too. It has a little more interest, I feel like, than just a regular neutral palette. It just wasn't as interesting as the other palettes in the ranking, so it just kind of fell in the middle. When I rank these, I usually kind of go like, okay, how do I feel about this palette compared to this palette? Well, I like this one more than this one. Stack. Okay, well, what about this palette? Do I like it more or less than the ones I've already stacked? And then I just put them above or below what I've already ranked until I have like everything, and kind of use what I've already ranked as markers to go higher or lower. So this just ended up kind of in the middle like that. All right, and number, I believe, 8 is the Kaleidos Flower Punk. I will leave linked the look that I did with this one. I think this is the one Wesley did my tutorial. Amazing artwork on this one, first of all. We have to appreciate that. Looks so good. And I just felt like this one, like, it was fine. I didn't have a bad time with it, but it was also just fine. The shimmers didn't blow my socks off the way I thought it would. Like, when I saw reviews of this, people really talked about the shimmers. Again, though, I don't believe I used glitter primer with this, and I guess there's more shimmers in my collection than I thought that I need that glitter primer to make things pop. I've been spoiled by Adept Cosmetics lately. You know, you don't have to use it, and it's fine without it, but there are a lot of shimmers in my collection that I need a glitter primer for, so I just need to give the shimmers, I think, another shot on this. But the look ended up looking fine and being good. Nothing wrong with it. It just was like, okay, sure. I think people maybe hyped this up more than what it really was when it came out. I don't know, but it's good. It's fine. Number 7, the other Kaleidos palette I used this month, and I did a video with it, is the Escape Pod. I did like this one actually better than the Kaleidos one. And I don't know if, I just think I like the shimmer selection better maybe. Here it is if you haven't seen it. I did kind of a neutral-ish look with this too. Like, it had purple in it, but it wasn't too loud. Definitely another one I want to pull out in summer for this. But I think I could do for spring, like, something all purple or maybe orange or something like that with it. But I do really like this one, and the shimmers, I felt like quality were better in this one than the other one. And when I say better, I don't mean that the others are bad. Better to me, better based on my personal standard of shimmers, and like texture is a big part of shimmers to me. I don't like something that's too smooth. It almost seems like flat or not dimensional to me. I like something with a little bit of texture to it. Not chunky necessarily, but it's just different. Like the mica and the particles are just varied so that it has a little more texture to it. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's why I put the Escape palette here. Okay, I think I miscounted somewhere because I'm pretty sure this is number 5. So I apologize. I counted all together 16 palettes before I started, so I don't know where my numbers are here, but they're still regardless ranked from the one I like the least to the one I like the most, regardless of what, you know, number it is in the ranking. They're not out of order or anything. So the next one is from Unearthly Cosmetics, and this is from their mystery box, their Valentine's Day one. This is the Surrender palette. I pulled this one out again, and this is what I'm talking about when I say shimmers that are smooth and they don't have too much texture to them. And that was one of the reasons I didn't like this palette as much, is that the metallics were very smooth, which to me gives them a little bit less dimension. However, sometimes I like that just fine. Like today I'm wearing the Glaminatrix U Beauty palette, and these multi-chromes are very smooth, and because of that they make good face highlighters. So sometimes it's a good thing. It just really depends on my mood, the vibe, if I want to use it as eyeshadow, a face highlighter, a blush, whatever. But this one pulled out again, and I do like this one a little more than some of the other ones because the shimmers do have like a shift to them, and just the theming of it I think too is really fun and made it go a little bit higher than the others. And number 4 from Blend Bunny Cosmetics, the All Done Up palette. This one is Also kind of neutrals with a twist, but I like this one a lot better than the Glaminatrix one. The shimmers I feel like are on par with Glaminatrix with the quality. Let me put it closer so you can actually see. But I feel like this one has more variation in it than the Glaminatrix one. Like these muted pastels up here are really cool, and I like how deep the mattes go, that we have pastels, midtones, deeper tones, and then shimmers. I don't feel like we get that sort of dimension in the Glaminatrix ones. So yeah, I haven't played with this one nearly enough either. I've done mostly brown nude looks. I've used like the pink shimmer at the bottom, but I would really like to get into like the yellows and the greens. Ooh, just like a muted yellow look. Oh, I think that could look really, really pretty for spring. So this one I'll probably leave out for this month. I want to do more spring inspired looks. And yeah, that's gonna mean some pastels, but it could also mean like dusty yellows and things like that too in my mind. You know, Easter's next week, right around the corner. So this one was really nice, but there are just a few more that I liked even more than this. In third place from Gourmande Girls is the Spooked palette. This has been so good. I've actually used this for a lot of neutral looks, and I've used Spirit, this shimmer, and Trick, this one over here. One is more gold and one looks gold in the pan, but is a little more pinky, and I like them together with some of the brown mattes. The black as a shadow liner is really great. So I haven't been delving into like the colorful side of this, but you really can get a lot of like neutral leaning looks with this, which I appreciate, and still makes me feel like I can get my spooky vibes in even in March when I use this palette. So yeah, this one's really nice. This is one too that I feel like the shimmers work fine without a glitter primer. Like you can, and they pop a little bit better, but you don't have to make them workable like some of the other ones, like the Melt, like the Kaleidos. I feel like you have to, or it's like, where is it? This one's not, I feel like, in that vein of shimmers. Next up from Adept Cosmetics is the Heather Austin palette. I did a look on this one this past month because the palette is in low stock. They're not restocking. It's going to be done after that. And they still have some stock in this. I'll leave that video linked, or like both of them. I think I've done 2 looks with this on my channel at this point. It is still available, but it is in low stock and they're not bringing it back. So if you want it, now's your chance. It's got a gorgeous faux leather component, packaging, whatever I'm trying to say, just like most of the other Adept ones. And this is just, it's beautiful. It really is. This has, like, you can go more fall with the grungy green and yellow, but you can make it more neutral too with Atlas, and they've got like So Excited is kind of like a cool tone silver, or 0603 is pretty neutral as well. I've used those before to make it more neutral. Even Hey Y'all, it's a little like teensy bit of a like plum or berry, but they all look pretty neutral. And the Adept shimmer formula, if you're new here, is my favorite. Like, it's my favorite of all the shimmer formulas of every brand right now at this point. So that was number 2 this month. So if that was number 2 this month, you guys, and Adept is my favorite shimmer brand, it says a lot that there's something else that was number 1 this month. And this was a new brand to me this month that I had never tried before. And I'll leave my video link to my first impressions of the brand. I'm wearing the gloss from them right now. This is from Ensley Cosmetics. This is the Midwinter Dream, and it is my number 1 palette of March. I've barely scratched the surface with this, but I'm telling you, it's impeccable. It's so good. I can't say enough good things. I really don't think I have a single negative thing to say about it. Here's the color story. It might just be a are you into the color story or not thing. I personally am. I love the fact that in my look I could use these 2 colors, the orange and the pink down here, as blush. Some pigments you'll put it on your cheek to try to use eyeshadow as blush, and it'll just like stay there, and no matter how much you're like trying to blend, it will not blend out. This built beautifully as a blush as well. The mattes were similar on the eye. They were like thin feeling, but you could build them up to full opacity, which I like because that means you can do a little or a lot and not just be stuck with a lot of pigment. Do your tiniest dab that you can ever and be so careful. You don't have to be careful, I don't feel like, but you can build it up if you want to. And then I used several shimmers in this, 3 of them. Some of them are the more putty feeling and some are the more traditional, like smoother shimmer. And I had a great time with all of them that I used. I used these 2 like pinky ones that actually look blue on the lid when you go to use them. And then this NYX iridescent shade that looks pretty much, I think, white to you, but it is more of a blue, and Dendrite is a green. And yeah, I really want to get into this like deeper section over here, and even some of the like I used the stuff that looked pink but was blue. The stuff that looks blue, are those also blue or are those something else? I don't know. I haven't swatched out the whole palette at this point, but I really like the artwork on this. I like the theming. I like the color story. I like the quality. At that point, like, what else can you ask for? And the fact that the brand also sent me a free gift with purchase, this gloss, I have not been able to put it down. I keep using it. It's what I'm wearing right now. It's so comfortable and hydrating. I have mine in Glamorous is the shade. It's their CBD color compatible lip gloss. It's like thick enough to be a gloss, but it is probably the least like gloopy sticky gloss I've ever used. It's super hydrating too, which is great because I have had the driest lips the past month and I can't stand it. So this is number 1 for March, you guys. Okay, so that is all, I believe, 16 palettes that I used this month in March. What do you guys think of the ranking? Do you own any of those palettes? What's your feelings about them? I would love to hear it in the comments. And let me know, what have you used this past month? Are you having like a specific palette you're drawn to? Have you kind of been playing around with a bunch of different things like I did this month? And of course, I'll continue the series, and I've already tracked today is April 2nd when I'm filming this, and I've already got 2 different palettes pulled aside that I'm gonna rank again next month. So subscribe if you're not already, stay tuned, and of course we'll be back with more content. That's all for today, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Bye!